What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Dowhauer here. Hope you're having a great day, great weekend. It's Sunday. Remember, you don't like somebody, tell them to piss off. Life's too short. They're bugging you, tell them to piss off. Life's too short. Go out and have a good day. If you're having a bad one, it's on you. Don't let it happen. Go have one. Well, we're back again. I had a comment last week. A guy was asking about, or whoever was asking about the pellet stove. So we're going to run over that today real quick. So I'm going to try to cover everything, but if anybody has any questions, comments, obviously anything like that, be sure to let me know. We'll go over it. So this pellet stove here is a Pelpro 130 pellet stove. Okay, so that particular stove, I think you can read that, is a PP 130 pellet stove. Okay, and it's by Pelpro. Okay, so this is the unit that I'm showing you today. Okay, so I really like this. I've had it for a whole winter. I've ran it every single day in the winter. We had a really good cold snap this year too, got us down to about -20. Wind chills were just ridiculous for about 2 weeks straight, so it was awesome. Now obviously if you watch my last video, the shop is insulated, but I didn't think it was that well insulated, but apparently it is. So this Pelpro basically goes non-stop. It's just like a fireplace, but it's much more efficient. It's much less dirty. It doesn't leave that nasty after smoke, after burn smell. It uses just bags of pellets. I mean, it's really, it's a great machine. I've never had one. I've always used fireplaces, stuff like that, and I can say without a doubt that the pellet stove is 1,000 times better than the fireplace or stove or anything else I've ever used to heat anything. One of the reasons why I like this system is it actually, I mean, it just runs 24/7. It has a thermostat on it. So the thermostat, it's like an old school thermostat. So all these new stoves and air conditioners and all this crap, you know, they have Wi-Fi. You can hook up to an app, run them, and that's great. But the biggest thing you want to look for a stove is not necessarily those things, because that's just money that they're using when they could really be putting it into the use and the, you know, the workings of the stove. So I try to stay away from that stuff, but a lot of people love it, and that's great. Unfortunately, this stove right here, it is only a control knob. So basically it's like the thermostat in your house. You turn it to a certain temperature and it stays there. So you turn it to 70, it stays at 70. You turn it to 74, it stays at 74. If it reaches 74, it'll actually lower the flame and lower the blower, and then if it still needs to cool down, it'll just shut off. And then it'll automatically at night relight itself if it gets back to that temperature, and it'll get you right back up to 74 where you had it set at. So it's a really awesome piece of equipment. You know, I'm going to maintain it once this year before next winter, so I'm going to tear it all apart, see how it works, see if everything's okay, see if parts are bad, you know, really dig in and see how good this piece of equipment is. But I will say right now, the Pelpro, I did a lot of homework. The Pelpro, this particular unit had more heating capabilities. It had better functions. It had better ratings. Everything about it was more for what I personally think is a really good bulletproof pellet stove that just works. Now, like I said, it doesn't have an app. You can't go online and change all that shit, but it's well worth not having it, because like I say, you set it on temperature, it stays. Now, the other thing this thing is for, and you know, some of us don't have, you know, as big a means as some others, so sometimes you're in a home, sometimes you're in an apartment, sometimes you're in a mobile home, sometimes you're in a manufactured home. Doesn't matter, right? You do what you do and you do the best you can. And if anybody's going to judge you for what you have or where you're at, screw them, piss on them, don't ever talk to them again, okay? So with that being said, this unit is rated for mobile home use. Now that's a big deal, okay? Even if you're not gonna use it in a house or a mobile home, that is just telling you that they've put that much more money into that stove, because the government makes them have pretty stringent regulations to have that capability of putting it in a mobile home actually for the heat, okay? So enough said. I think it's the best stove out there. I've used it for a whole winter. I've abused it, man. I ran it high, ran it low. I've done everything to see what it would take. And this machine takes everything. I mean, Pelpro, I don't know if they have other units that suck or not, but this unit, it's badass, okay? It's awesome. So let's go through it real quick and just show you a couple things. And I know the person that was asking last week, you know, they were really interested in what kind of mess of it makes. You know, is it clean? Is it dirty? You know, how much cleanup do you have? So bear with me. I'm gonna make you sick again here. I don't mean to. Okay, but we're gonna go ahead and bear with me around here so we can go over this. Okay, so this is your Pelpro stove. I know I'm making you sick. I'm so sorry. Okay, so you got the front. You have a heat grate on the front. Okay, and then on one side, you can see down at the bottom, you have some registers to pull in some fresh air. And then you have another heat register on the side here, right here. And then here's your control panel I was telling you about, okay? That's it. That's all it is. Basic. But in this situation for heat, especially if you don't want stuff to freeze in the winter, this is what you need. Or this is what I recommend, okay? Now, on your other side, I just took some magnets, stuck them to the side so I can put my tools on it, so I'm not always grabbing tools and all that kind of crap. Kind of stupid, but it works good. So down here we got another fresh air. Up here we have another vent that pushes out heat. So the nice thing about this unit is it has a blower in it, and that blower kicks on and off on its own, and it will actually slow down or go higher. It's not just one speed. And you have heat coming from this register, the front, and this other side there. So this baby pumps out some heat. I'm telling you, it will flat run the hair right off of your body. Okay, so back here, just kind of a setup, goes into the back of the unit, goes into the pipe, and then the pipe just runs up, okay? And then there's venting on the back, and then you have a fresh air tube. So this fresh air brings fresh air in from outside the barn or the shop or the house or whatever you got, and pulls fresh air in there to burn to make it perfect, okay? And then obviously I have it plugged into a, you know, I guess you could call it a power strip. I mean, everybody calls it something different, but it's basically just protection. That's all it is. And then, you know, your vet pipe just goes out the ceiling. Now I've cut it open a couple times because I didn't like how I've done it. So this summer I'm probably going to redo quite a bit just because I'm picky and I want the pipe, the exhaust perfectly straight and, you know, plumb and all that crap. So anyway, let's get into it. So this is your lid. This is your hopper. Okay, the nice thing about this one too is it actually has that up there. It has all your instruction and directions, so it tells you, hey, something's going on, something's good, something's bad. Has a little safety switch here. So unless you have pellets in the hopper, it actually won't work with the lid open. The lid has to be shut. I've kind of circumvented that switch because I don't like it, but that's not recommended. And then here's your pellets. I mean, these are them. These are them. So you can run probably 3 full bags of pellets in this machine at one time. It depends. If it's 30 degrees out, you're gonna run for 3 days, almost 4 days with no fuel. If it's really, really cold out, you're gonna find you're gonna go through a bag probably every 24 hours to 36 hours, depending on how big your shop is, okay? So my shop is 30 by 40, 10 foot 7 to the doors, 15 foot to the ceiling, okay? So I have all that to heat, and it does it so well that this thing just runs me out of, I mean, it runs me out. Now, the one thing that I have found, and this is 100% true, I don't care what anybody tells you, I've bought them, I've tried them, I've gone through them, and it is a pain in the ass. So I'm going to tell you right now. These pellets, they make, they make so many different brands of pellets. They make softwood, they make hardwood, they make medium, they make low ash, they make all this shit, and it's so hard to find it because a lot of the bags, you just don't know if they're telling you the truth. But if you get the cheap shit, this thing burns bad, it has more soot, it has more cleanup, it goes through it too fast, it sucks. Now I found that the best brand of pellet is this pellet, and this is a Pennington pellet. Just look it up, Pennington heating pellets. They are the cleanest, they are the hardest put together, as in, you know, the pressure they put on them, so it makes them nice and tight. They burn efficient. Now, they're a bag more, or they're $1 a bag more. But let me tell you something, you get more heat out of this and much cleaner. So it's totally worth seeking out the Pennington. And if you have to buy a pallet and have them delivered, do it, because it's totally worth it. Okay, so now we're gonna run down to the heart of the bad boy real quick. So you got your big glass door. Obviously it's all cast iron, which is great. Now the door's cast iron, the bodies on any of these really anymore just steel. You can't really find a full cast iron unless you're willing to spend 10,000 bucks, and that just ain't happening. So you have this glass door, okay? It's just like a fireplace. It has a seal that you can replace, and then you got your firebox. Now your firebox is kind of like a fireplace, but it's kind of totally sort of not, I guess. So your pellets from above that I showed you before, they actually come out of this pipe right here. Okay, so when the stove calls for it, the pellets come out of here and they fall into this tray. Okay, they fall into this tray, and that's where they sit. So we're going to go over this just real quick. Now, what I do when I clean it out, well, I'm trying to do this with one hand, so it's not going real well. Okay, so you can look in here. It's just empty, right? All it is just an open box. Now, this panel, and this panel all lift up, lift out, and you can clean around it. Okay, you can clean the air intake down there, you can suck all this stuff out, and it's easy. And then right down here in the middle of this, you see that right there? So that is your igniter. That is what kicks on and mixes with the air that it pulls in from the outside to consistently burn those pellets. And boy, do they burn. Now, this hopper right here, okay? This hopper is it. That's it. So this is as messy as it gets. So if it's minus 20 and you're going through a bag a day, then you're going to want to come home at night. You're going to pull this out. You're going to take it over to your metal can. You're going to pull this front off of it. Well, maybe. Sorry, trying to do this with one hand. So you're going to pull this front off, and all those ashes in there, they just in the bucket. You take this, you put it back on, you're all cleaned out. You take it, you lift it back in. Sorry, I'm a shitty cameraman, guys, okay? Laugh at me, comment, say you're a moron. But anyway, that's it. So that is the only thing that fills up. Now, if you let it fill up, you'll get some ash to both sides, but you just suck it out. Now, the best thing I found is I let this line, I don't let it fill up over this line. If I let it fill up to this line, I dump it. If you keep it dumped about that line, it's, first of all, it's easier to dump, it's easier to take care of, and it just makes life easier. So that's really the mess. Now, I vacuum it out each time, and then once a month I take these panels off and I suck everything out. So I don't know if I have to do that every month, but I do it, and I like to do it every month just to keep it clean and make sure it's working right. But that's really it, guys. I mean, yes, it is dirty, but compared to a fireplace or a stove, to run it every single day to keep an actual shop, you know, a business in your shop, or your hot rods, or just your shit, okay, warm, that's how you do it. Flip you back over here. I'm so sorry. You guys are so nice, because like I said, I know I just screwed this up. You guys are all dizzy and sick by now. But anyway, so that's the Pellet Pro. Once again, Pellet Pro PP130 pellet stove. Now, I don't care what brand you buy, I don't care where you buy it, but all I'm going to suggest is at least look at this unit. Like I said, it's not as fancy, it's not as pretty, but it's unbelievable in the heat category. So if you want heat, easy to clean, economic, this is your brand. But if you buy anything, always buy the higher heat, okay? So this one I think says 2,100 square feet or 2,400 square feet that it'll heat, somewhere around there. Now, all these stoves, you have to be careful, because all the stoves are going to tell you, most of the time they're going to tell you two different numbers. The lower end stoves are going to say, well, you know, it's rated for 1,200 square feet, but it'll heat 2,000 square feet. So you're looking for that number to be higher. So you want the square footage that it's going to heat, the lowest number, you want it to be what your square footage is. So if you have 1,200 square feet, like I do, in my shop, then you want something that's going to do 1,200 square feet. And then if it says it'll do 1,200 to 24, fine. You don't need that other. Or when it got -20, I may have used it and it was perfect. Just don't get the one that you have a 1,200 square foot shop and you get 600. For some reason, when it comes to heat, it's better to stay at that higher number than like AC for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, I've ranted, I've raved. It's 17 minutes. I'm so sorry. Comment, say you're an idiot. That was way too long. Whatever. I'm sorry. But I'm trying to do this for somebody that comment, that asked a question. And I want to make sure that I answered that question for you. And if I didn't, send me another comment and say, hey, dumbass, that's not even what I asked you. I want to know blah, blah, blah. So anyway, once again, that's this weekend. Stauhauer. Have a perfect day, a great day. Have a good weekend. You might have a shit time right now, right? Nobody wants to go to work. Tomorrow's Monday. But remember, just slow down a little bit. Life is good, okay? There's a bunch of assholes out there. Don't let them run your life. Don't let them tell you you're good or bad or indifferent. Tell people to piss off. Be who you are, okay? I don't care what you are, who you are, what you do. If you respect people, everybody should respect you. So take that with you this week and treat people like you would like to be treated. And if they're an asshole to you, don't treat them nice. Tell that asshole to leave you alone. So anyway, that's what I got. Any questions, comments, let me know. You know, thumbs up. I mean, if you give me one, that's great. If not, whatever. If you give me a comment, that's awesome too. But if anybody has a comment or a question, please put it in there and we'll go over it. So until next time, see ya.